Hi, everyone. If you are new to me, hello. My name is Melissa, and I'm using my YouTube channel, taking this opportunity to share my breathwork experience as I do my practitioner training for RBM breathwork, which is Rebirthing Breathwork Mastery, which is a completely different style of breath work to a lot of the others. It's very parasympathetic, um, very much around using intentions and how you would prefer things to be, and just using this really natural, relaxed, not forced breath, but a fuller than usual breath, and conscious breathing to allow the body and the nervous system to create shifts on its own, which is so incredible. And yeah, I've had such a transformation. Feel free to go back to video number one where I had my first breathwork session. But even before then, when I joined 21-day breathwork online retreats, and I just had such incredible results. And like as soon as I had my first experience with this style of breathwork, it was like, I need to know more about this. I need to be doing this. I need this in my life. So, it was like a full body yes when the opportunity came to do the practitioner training. And I'm at the very end of stage one, which is us having our experience. Stage two is the theory component. And stage three, which I will be journeying on very soon, um, is more on the facilitating, where we still do breathes, still in groups, but eventually we will be facilitating for our groups. So yeah, I'm really, really, really loving being in this place. Um, so anyway, this is the debrief of my session number 35. This was a self-breathe. I always like to start with my intention from the previous breathe. Um, so my intention from the previous breathe was around, I do shadow coaching, and it was around shadow coaching, and I was having a bit of resistance. Um, and a bit of self-doubt within myself with my coaching. And so I'd started a bit of a process in a coaching session, and I really just wanted that to evolve in my breathe as well, just to allow it to keep continuing on. Um, and I think I mentioned this in the last breathe as well, but I've had pretty much those 10 spaces that I wanted filled. I had one of those new people join me on only a few days ago, and it was an incredible session. And she's agreed to continue on with me for a few sessions, and I'm Um, so grateful to her for allowing me to have that experience, and I think she will gain so much from it too. I have another new person coming on in a couple of days, which I'm also really excited for, and a couple of my friends who are like, actually, yep, I want in now, which is amazing. So yeah, so I've had quite a few new people jump in. So after that coaching session and that breath work, like things have just shifted for me in life, which has been amazing. Um, I've also written here, oh, I write everything down in my book. I've also written here that I have an online group as well as part of my Facebook um, business page. And I did a card pull in the group, and it really inspired me. It really inspired me to reconnect with that intuitive, spiritual being that I am. And interestingly, that opened up a conversation with my mum. Interestingly, that opened up a conversation with my mum, and she was like, "Do a reading for me." So we did, and the cards that were pulled were just like so perfect for her. It was exactly what she needed to hear, and she didn't realize it, but I did. Which, brought out this unexpected conversation relating to those cards. And whilst I was talking about them, and she was like talking about things that had happened in her life, and I was like, well, this is where you would apply it. This is, this was my experience of what I witnessed of that, like, and so it was this really beautiful conversation with my mom. And what I also became hyper aware of is that a lot of the things that I was moving through in my breathwork journey um, are also her stories as well. So, like, um, were they my stories at all? Or was I carrying her stories? And we had this, as I said, this incredible conversation where I was completely honest and open about my opinions, and so is she, and I think it really planted a seed for her. So I'm really excited to see how that evolves for her and what she does with that. Everyone in their own time. And yeah, okay. So coming into my breathwork for this session, I was really kind of a bit triggered, a bit anxious, a bit nervous regarding money with this breathe, like just being hyper aware of all the bills that needed to be paid. And my partner was going on a golf trip, and it's just like, this is really not the best time. Okay, go anyway. Like you still have to go and have fun and do all of that. But just yeah, being really hyper aware of lots of money is going out, which like I'm the one that controls all the money. I'm the one that pays the bills. I'm the one that has to make sure everything's okay. And so I really feel a lot of that pressure on my own. And I've tried to have conversations with him about it, and I think he's living in, I don't even know, like 1999, where you could, you know, you could buy milk for $1. Like it's really not like that. And, it really triggers me when, like I ask him, go and all I need is milk. He'll always ring on the way home. So what do we need? Do we need anything? We always need milk in our house. And like, he'll go and buy milk. That's like a $6 transaction. And he'll spend 70, $80 on ice cream and chocolate and lollies and junk, sugary junk. And it's like that $80, like what I spend on food every week, like that $80 is significant, And so I was just in this place of just really being triggered by money and how much money is being spent. And um, um, I feel okay with, like, we've got a credit card, and obviously things are going on the credit card, and the credit card's going down, and I feel okay with it. Like um, quite a few breaths back, I was a bit triggered by what the number of the balance meant and how it made me feel. And this time around, like I don't have that association. but there is this subconscious, like, okay, we can't keep doing what we're doing. Like, we need to rein this in. And I did say to him, like, as we come into Christmas, these things need to not happen, and also, I mentioned a few breaths ago, um, just on family connection, that my one of my brothers offered us an opportunity to, um, go camping with them, not real camping, like in a cabin, and the cabin was going to cost about $900. And I kind of sat on that and I turned it down because of the money, but also like we're hopefully going to be starting our build soon. I'm going to be getting a new workspace. And, like I feel like I've rationalized it with, I'd prefer to be spending that time while I'm having the time off, getting as much done as I possibly can in the unit, rather than putting that $900 down now, um, and kind of feeling awkward about being there and the money that's being spent. Um, so yeah, like I kind of feel like, um, I'm happy to let go of that opportunity because of the money. And I'm rationalizing it in a sense of, well, I'd rather get as much as I possibly can done whilst I'm on holidays. Anyway, so that was really what, my intention kind of was based around. I'm also starting a 120-day practice with the Reconnected, which is a money practice. And so I'm welcoming the shifts. And, I really do feel like the shifts have already started, not even with the breathe, but just with, the things that have happened since the breathe. And I've been doing, I've been listening a lot to Hannah from Reality Awareness, and doing some of her practices. And, one of the things she says, with money is stop saying, I can't afford it, and start saying, I am choosing to put my money elsewhere. And so that's kind of really been in the forefront of my mind the last couple of days, listening to her things. I am choosing to put my money elsewhere. So, I suppose for me, I'm choosing not to want to spend money on golf and alcohol. Not speaking on my behalf, but that's where a lot of the money goes. Anyway, so yeah, I'm um super excited for the shifts that have already happened, and yeah, like I just still, like at the beginning of the weekend, I was like in the bank account counting how much he spent while he's on his golf weekend. Um, just being like in the back of my mind, just calm your farm, like if this is how you're doing it on day one, I can't imagine. I don't want to imagine what it's going to be like on day three. But anyway, so um, I also participated in, I think I might have mentioned this earlier, maybe in one of my other breathworks, in the last one, maybe, maybe not. Anyway, I did a money one with the Reconnected. It was just like a free money program too. And it was really around our stories around money and wealth. And, and they were doing like money is, and it's a pause for you to be in your body and what comes up when you say money is. Um, and then wealth is pause, see what comes up. The point is to release all of these things around money, positive, negative, um, to get to a place where you can't think of anything anymore. And what I realized from That was money is a resource and wealth is a lifestyle. Wealth is a way of living. Wealth is a way of being. But money is just a resource. And so, really differentiating between money and wealth. Like, wealth is freedom, wealth is choice. Um, Wealth is spending money on things that you want and desire, not just things that you need. And so from that, I really wanted to expand wealth capacity within myself, the vibration, the frequency of wealth within myself. Um, and so I kind of did a little bit of this was a self-breathe, as I said. So I didn't really have anyone to go backwards and forwards with other than myself. So I really um, kind of thought about what I wanted to do, and my intention for this breathe was I intend to feel wealthy with money, having the freedom to spend money for pleasure and enjoyment with love and ease. So that was my intention. I did a 60-minute self-breathe. Um, and yeah, this was my experience during my breathe. So I'll just bring this in front of me here. So at the beginning, the first half of my breathe, I felt a lot like not much was happening. I felt heaviness in my throat, my neck, and the base of my skull. Um, Sharpness on my deep inhale in my chest, and sharpness in my stomach. I had a realization that wealth doesn't feel safe in my body and my nervous system because it's new. It's it's not something I've ever associated with. So it didn't really feel safe for me because it was new. Um, I was thinking a lot about money, how much things cost, being overcharged for purchases. I I brought I go to a special place and buy my meat, and I was overcharged. She accidentally charged me for something which was damaged. And so like when I saw the figure, I was like, "Ooh, that seems more than I was expecting." And so yeah, I got the receipt, got in the car, looked at it, and went, "Oh, yeah, actually, I was charged for that thing that I didn't even take with me." So, I went back in there. Another situation was like I was buying bread, and, with the loyalty program, I was supposed to get a $5 discount. Got a $5 discount, but I paid with card, and you have to manually enter the price with card for the FPOS. And she charged me the full amount, even though the till was for the discounted amount. And so that really sat with me too. That really irritated me. And that came up in my breath work as well, just like thinking about all the moments where I've been overcharged for things. Um, Thinking about how much everything costs, thinking about purchases that are being made by me, by others. Um, And I really kind of noticed within myself at this point, like not much is really happening physically in my body other than those things that I highlighted. Um, and as I noticed myself saying that, um, I felt my chin kind of like tuck into my throat and contract. my voice box, my larynx right down here. Um, and it was like contracting here and also like pulling from the base of my neck and from my skull down here. And I started getting chills moving down my body, like in waves. Um, my phone, because I was doing a self breathe, I had my phone there playing music and a timer. So I usually don't have my phone nearby. And even though I had it on like vibrate, I could hear it constantly like going off. I was getting lots of notifications for all sorts of different things. Um, and it really kind of like the first few times it was like, just ignore it, just ignore it, just ignore it. And then I eventually went, oh, I'll just look at it. Um, and I noticed it had only been 30 minutes and it felt like it went so long. I was thinking, like, oh, well, if it's been 45 minutes, I'll just end my breathe. And it had only been 30 minutes and I was like, oh, okay. Well, so I kind of like wound myself down, put the phone back, wound myself back down, came back into my breath. Um, and I started dozing and then I fell asleep. I fell asleep for the last half an hour. And then or 25 minutes, I should say. And then like I just startled myself awake with 5 minutes left on the timer. And it was like one of those moments where I thought, because I was in my bed, I don't usually do my breathes in my bedroom. I usually do them in this room. And I woke up in my bed and I was startled awake and I thought it was the next day. And I, I honestly was like, shit, I've slept through my alarm. I'm late. It took me a little bit to get back into my body and where I was. I was kind of really out of it. And coming out of my breathe, I just felt really agitated and irritated, and everything was annoying and inconvenient. Um, yeah, everything was annoying and inconvenient, and my tolerance was really shit. My tolerance was really, really, really shit, and I was just rude and short because I felt so irritable, and agitated. Um, yeah, so I haven't had a breathe like that where I've fallen asleep for a while. But I obviously needed to fall asleep. And again, because I was doing this self-breathe, I didn't really have anyone to bounce my experience off. So I've kind of written a little debrief for myself as well. Um, and so I've written here, yeah, so when I woke, I was really startled thinking it was Tuesday morning and I'd slept through my alarm. I was running late for my morning appointments. Um, I've written here, I'd like to say there was some releasing of money worry, obsessing over costs and other stories. Um, I would feel that's true now, quite a few days later. It's Sunday and this was Monday, so quite a few days later, I would definitely say that's true. The acknowledgement of wealth doesn't feel safe in my body in that moment. Um, and I can say, as I said, I've been listening to Hannah from Reality Awareness, and I've been looking at my cupboard in this room and my wardrobe and looking at them going, oh, I need to redo this. I really need to declutter. I need to get rid of stuff. And over this weekend, yesterday, I did that. And whilst I was getting rid of my clothes in particular, like in here, it was just reorganizing. But with my clothes in particular, it was like, even though I really like this thing and I do still wear it, this is not the frequency. Like, I know I don't align with you. I love you. I I've worn you recently, but this is not the frequency. It's time to let you go. And so there was really this vibe of um, only holding on to things that are higher frequency, higher vibing, which I think has a lot to do with that, um, wealth frequency. I've written here the first half of my breathe felt like it went on forever. I was surprised to see I was only halfway, and then the rest just like went like that because had fallen asleep. Um, I've written here truth. Wealth feels new, different, and therefore unsafe, unfamiliar in my body, making it hard to hold on to money and spend money consciously on things that feel free and pleasurable. And also, like, we went out for lunch yesterday, the boys and I. And then usually I'd be like, oh, well, we went out for lunch. So do we really need takeaway for dinner too? And we did. We got takeaway for dinner too. Because we could. Um, Lots of thinking about how much everything costs and when it's due and what money, um, how I'm going to pay for it, what money am I going to use, what account is it going to come from, and how much Michael's spending affects our weekly budget. Um, I've written he buys lunch every day. He buys lunch every day. He's buying drinks every day. He goes on golf weekends all the time. He spends the whole day at golf. Um, so like that was what I was thinking about in the first part of my brief. And um, because he does that, like here's a real blame piece. Because he does that, like there is no money for us for the things that bring us pleasure because he uses it all on things, I suppose, that bring him pleasure. But it's not just his money, it's our money, you know? Um, and also, I've written here looking forward to starting the 120-day practice, the Bohotakaram practice, um, which, I didn't have the money to pay. I took the money from another account with the intention of putting it back once I've accumulated the money because I did not want to miss this. I used the money that's supposed to be for the unit because it was so important for me to participate in this, 120-day practice. Um, so yeah, so that was my breath work. That was my number 35, my self breathe. Um, I've got one more breathe as part of this stage one. Um, before I move on to the next stage. Yeah, I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm excited to see what that experience is going to be like, if it's completely different to this, or if it's kind of similar, or if it like slowly integrates towards the end. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope through my experience, you're gaining so much for yourselves as well. And if you're interested in your own breathwork journey, comment below. Let me know. I might be able to help. You might be able to breathe with me if you're watching this in the future. Um, so, yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.